Hello and welcome to this FPL video focusing on Game Week 9. We'll be reviewing Game Week 8 and the players who I had suggested to avoid, pick and take an outside risk on. Then we'll look at how my team did in Game Week 8 before moving on to this week's transfer, the starting 11 and who I think will be the best players to avoid, pick and take a risk on for Game Week 9. I'll start with another look back at people's comments and on my own team, and it's mainly about Jorginho and people's disbelief in my picking of the Chelsea man. So the point I made last time was that he touches and passes the ball more than any other player in Europe's top leagues. So as an assist is always a possibility, but there is more. Jorginho is worth 5.1 million and he has 26 points. That makes him the fourth best choice within the 5.3 million price range bracket and lower, being behind Neves of Wolves, Brooks of Bournemouth and Lennon of Burnley. Now there's three reasons why I'm sticking with him over the other cheaper midfielders in that price bracket. First is that I've got more faith in Jorginho. He plays more than the other three and he plays 90 minutes every single game. Point two, he plays for a top club in Chelsea, so there's more potential for points and clean sheets. And finally, Chelsea's next 10 games look a lot kinder and easier than what Wolves, Burnley and Bournemouth are about to face. Now, moving on to my avoid, pick and risk players from Game Week 8, and it's another 2 out of 3, with the biggest surprise being the failure of the week, Harry Kane. He's let down hundreds of thousands of FPL managers this week. Despite being at home to Cardiff and playing against 10 men, he couldn't bag a goal or an assist this week. I was correct with my assumption that Sterling would have his usual issues at Anfield and he was benched midway through the second half. And I had predicted Goodmanson at Burnley to get an assist or a goal this week, and he didn't let me down. He bagged 7 points with an assist at home to Huddersfield. As for my own team, Game Week 8 saw a solid 70 posted on the board with my faith in Hazard still paying off. And I said right at the start of the season when he was starting to get a bit of game time under his belt that he looked red hot. And in my opinion, he's been the best Premier League player so far this season. Wilson also is hitting a great run of form, returning 14 points this week with Bournemouth's incredible result against Watford, and a strong defensive display from Trippier and Alonso helped raise the score. For the future, however, there will be question marks over Sergio Aguero and Mohamed Salah, with the former being constantly limited to around 65 minutes and the latter being nowhere near last season's standards. Looking at my transfer this week, and it took me a few hours thinking of this one because I'm going to be using the next few game weeks to shift some players in and out like a domino effect. So this week sees Trippier make way for Robertson. Now this is because Spurs have a difficult run coming up, and I would have been happy with Alexander-Arnold because I did want a Liverpool defender in there. However, it seems as though his time in the first 11 could be over with his omission from the Liverpool versus Manchester City starting 11. And whether or not he starts next week will determine his future in the side. However, I'm not too worried if Alexander-Arnold doesn't start this week, because Bennett, who will be on the bench this week, coming off, might work out again as it has for me in the past, with Wolves facing Watford at home. So moving on to this week's starting 11, and again we see Ben Foster remaining goal. The formation is also staying the same with 3 at the back and Alexander-Arnold in the side off the bench next to new signing Robertson and Marcus Alonso. The rest of the side remains unchanged this week despite Chelsea having Manchester United visit the bridge. Jorginho and Hazard start, with Eden keeping the armband alongside Mora, Salah and Theo Walcott. Which means up top again we have an informed Callum Wilson alongside the 65-minute man Sergio Aguero. So dropping to the bench this week is Wan-Bissaka, with the rest of the subs remaining the same. So my thoughts going forward with this side will most likely see Alexander-Arnold heading out of the side for Leicester Pereira due to the Foxes facing a nice set of fixtures and Alexander-Arnold no longer having a definite place in that Liverpool starting 11. I will also be looking to replace Walcott and Mora and maybe Ings as well in the next few weeks due to difficult fixtures and poor form, but as I previously mentioned, I will be considering Salah and Aguero, especially with the possible return of Kevin De Bruyne, someone who I've always had in my fantasy team, and I could go for Salah and Wilson going out of the side with Firmino and De Bruyne coming in, but the jury is still out on that one. Moving on to Game Week 9's avoid, pick and risk players, and we'll be starting by avoiding Lukaku. The Manchester United man has been out of form and is infamous for not doing well against the top 6 sides, and playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, with Chelsea hitting their stride and United being all over the show with the Mourinho situation at the moment and not being in particularly good form. I can't see the big Belgian scoring at the Bridge. This week's pick is going to be my own captain, Eden Hazard, and with good reason. He is in scintillating form. With United's backline looking vulnerable as well, I can see Hazard continuing his fine form and getting at least an assist in the Chelsea-Manchester United game. For the risk this week, I'm actually going to have one normal risk and one really out there risk. So the normal risk of the week is going to be Glenn Murray. Brighton are proving tough so far this season, and I think the Seagulls are going to add even more pressure on Rafa Benitez and the Magpies. With 5 goals already scored this season, I can see Murray going out there and grabbing another one. My out there pick this week, though, is Daniel Sturridge. Now, with Liverpool looking tired against Manchester City, and with the Champions League already underway and their games being away against Huddersfield, I think it's a perfect game for Klopp to maybe show a little bit of faith in Sturridge and maybe give one of that famous front 3 a rest for this game and a run out for Sturridge. It's an out there risk because Klopp rarely changes that deadly front 3, but this could be the match. So that was my FPL video reviewing Game Week 8 and taking a look at Game Week 9. I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments below who are you looking to buy, avoid, or take a risk on for this coming game week. And as always, have a good one.